right, hello. Welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging and Friends, as we are back to playing Alien tonight, continuing our Cinders of Heaven campaign. And my post-it note won't stay, so it's just going to get thrown now. Also, we got a giveaway tonight, as we're going to be we've been doing a giveaway for the past week or so. We've been taking entries, so if you want to get in, go over to the Discord channel right now. We're going to be drawing a winner this session, this stream. So sometime about an hour or so, you can get win some cash to basically use at Norse Foundry. So hop over to our Discord, what Melissa has dropped in the Twitch chat, and go to the giveaway channel and drop a note about like a setting you like. It could be a game that you've played in, could be a video game, something you came up with on your own, something you watched a movie, whatever. It doesn't matter. Some place that just seems cool to hang out and play and do weird shit in. And that's all you really got to do. And sometime in about an hour, we'll draw a winner. And that's it. That's the instructions. Okay. So as you can see, we are down. We are down on my trade tonight. She'll be back in a couple weeks. And we got Chuck back though, so it was a trade. It was definitely a trade. So we're going to pick up shortly after last week's session and see what happens. Why don't we go ahead, do some intros, and we'll get going. So Chuck, tell us a little about Scooter.
Scooter is the brother of Skeeter. I am the more mechanically inclined brother, and I am fantastic at following instructions and filling in any gaps that you may have left out in those instructions.
Excellent. Well done.
The best
Chuck,
at it.
Chuck, you were not the best. Chuck, you weren't here last time. Your character spent a significant amount of the session screaming at the top of the lungs and panicking as your panic went.
Just like me in real life.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Hey,
you miss Jeff doing you screaming, which was
nice.
Great.
Perfect.
It wasn't very good.
It was spot on. It was great.
Okay.
Sounded exactly like you.
Did it? Oh, okay.
Much skill.
You found the baseball cap and everything?
Yeah, I did. I pulled one up, put it on. It's good. Okay. Grew 4 inches. It was great. Next up, Melissa, tell us a little bit about Michelle.
So Michelle is our medic. She's very into preventative medicine, not so much into the things that happen later. She is an occasional bungee jumper, apparently. She superhero pose lands when she does said bungee jumping. And she is it seems as if she's going to need to dust off this counselor skill that she took up, that she needs to perhaps practice a bit and see if maybe that can help with the overall stressed vibe that there seems to be going on.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Plus, like, just handing out drugs, as we learned last time, is very useful as well. So some combination of those things, probably more the drugs thing would probably work.
Had she brought more drugs, she might not need to rely on her therapy skills, but drugs are gone. So
for like a week or so, and you didn't bring more drugs? Come on. It's only been like 3 days. There's always a return trip and everything.
That was a poor choice. That was a poor choice. So counseling it is.
Wow.
Now you know.
And now we got a dead team member because of it. Mm-hmm. So it's all, as far as I'm concerned, it's on Michelle as the medic. So
yeah,
there we go.
Yep. As that works.
All right. Next up, Jeremy, tell us about Skeeter.
Yeah, man, I'm Skeeter, brother Scooter. Now, I don't want to be rude or say I'm the smart brother, but if the shoe fits, wear it. Speaking of good decisions, I brought plenty of drugs for myself because I don't feel like getting stressed out. I feel like surviving. Hell, last week I tackled an invisible dog, but then on the other hand, I tried to give lady first aid and I knocked her unconscious with a headbutt. So, it all sometimes balances out.
Oh, goodness. I know that chat wanted to be the role of critical
an injury
for you. I'm like, oh man, don't do that. Suddenly she gets like a broken leg. Like, wait, how did that happen? But no. Yep, she got knocked out, which is probably a good thing. Tetch running high. Tetch is running kind of high. All right, then finally, Adam, go ahead and tell us about Mr. Geralt.
Well, Mr. Geralt is supposed to be in charge of this here crew, but No one seems to listen, and when they don't listen, bad things happen. It couldn't possibly be any of his decisions that he ever makes. It's because they're not listening. That's exactly it. Yes. But I have kept several notes, and these notes will bring the truth to my superior. At least he
Excellent.
calls himself my superior. But
Wow. Snitches get promotions, I think, from Mr. Geralt's worldview there.
It is. I mean, that is pretty consistent with the Alien universe, though, I think. So I think we're playing that par for the course. All right. Let's go ahead and start. So just to kind of catch everyone up, you are on a survey mission on this moon you've all chosen to colonize. You're on the you're on the coast of the Western Ocean relative to the colony. You've been sent to document and discover flora, fauna, and any sort of resources that might be of value to the colony. Additionally, as we've learned, I don't know again how much every individual character has learned this from Jack, but we know, those of us playing, that Mr. Geralt has been tasked with a secondary mission, which is to investigate this anomaly. There's this grainy drone footage that Arthur York, back in the colony, your superior, showed you, and it had like this large, almost face that was carved into the cliffside along this Western Ocean, and so he wanted you to check it out, see what's up with that. Along the way, over the past week or so, you all observed a lot of different things. Packs of these reptilian wolves with this camouflage ability. You had these rodent colonies that slid down an incline and were scooped up in the water by some large carnivore. You saw a flying lamprey / snake that was able to kind of mimic the form of a tree. You saw a massive amphibious jellyfish, and you saw swarms of these half spider, half crabs. And along the shore, last time around, Krisha was nearly attacked by that jellyfish, but Michelle bungee jumped sort of off the cliff, 200-something feet down, and helped kill the creature. By the rover, chaos was going. It was just absolute chaos. The working Joes malfunctioned. One of them just started staring at the sky, doing nothing. The other one ran, picked up Dr. Sari Valdez, one of the NPCs that's been in your team, and then just leaped off the cliff to their deaths. To her death. He just, he's a working Joe. He could probably be repaired. A pair of space wolves, as we've been calling them, attacked Mr. Geralt at the same time, and then the Carter brothers were able to help kind of fight them off after a little bit of panic, which continued to course through the team when Krisha got back. Dr. Alina Morgan, the other NPC doctor you had, wanted to go retrieve Dr. Valdez's body at the bottom of the cliff, but Krish was having none of that. She had nearly been eaten by a jellyfish, and so she got in her face. She got in the doctor's face, pointed a shotgun at her first, told her to shut the hell up, and then clubbed her with it. Eventually, Dr. Morgan got back in the rover. Geralt, you shut down the remaining working Joe. Skeeter tried to patch up Dr. Morgan as a peace offering, but accidentally headbutted her and knocked her unconscious. Your pups that you had sent out to scan this section of the shoreline came back, and they showed an artificial structure just up the shore a few miles to the north. And so that is currently where you are headed. And that is where we're going to begin. So it's about maybe 45 minutes or so from where you last were, a couple miles north. It's not that far. So you've been driving in the rover. You're still on the high top of the high area of the cliff. The cliff hasn't reduced in terms of height. Any of you that are on that have like a viewing port can still see the ocean from where you're at. This like long, cold, gray ocean. And remember that we're in like the sun time, so it's very visible. There's not a whole lot of darkness that comes around. But we'll say, as you look at your coordinates, as you look at your, as you're tracking where it is that your pup sent you, you eventually come, Skeeter, to sort of what you would imagine I want to say latitude, I guess the latitude, so to speak, of where this structure should be. From what you can tell, as you park the rover up here at the top of the cliff, you still have those series of craters along the top with the different like bunches of flora. But you can tell that structure, whatever it is probably like below the cliff on the shoreline, is what you probably guess, because you don't see anything up here. But looking at your coordinates, looking at your PDAT and everything, you're pretty confident it's probably down on the coast. And so that's where we'll start, as you guys are up on the cliff. What do you want to do?
I mean, I get the winch set up, lower some ropes, make the climb a little easier. Miss Girl, if you don't mind, I got a question while I'm getting that set up. Do you wear contacts by any chance, or you ever had any sort of like surgery on your eyes?
Why do you ask?
On account of you can see space wolves and we can't. I'm just trying to think of things that might factor in. Maybe there's some other angle to think about it that we hadn't thought about. Just
I did have a procedure done. Yes.
okay. I mean, obviously, we got to do this and focus on this now, but that might be something somebody more scientific like myself might ask questions about later.
I wouldn't recommend it for anyone, though.
Point duly noted. I will not press the subject further.
Yeah,
Like,
an
what do they
impacted eye
call
socket
that?
is nothing I would wish on anyone.
Okay. Like, is there a specific term they call that surgery? Like space wolf eification?
Yes, in fact, I can't believe I didn't think of it until now. Yes, we should all order space wolf eification.
Is that a Swift?
Yes.
All right, we all get Swiffers.
Well, I'll get Swiffers.
Yes.
This is something that I would be happy to attempt if anyone would be interested.
Nope. I'm sorry.
I think Skeeter would be good for it. I mean,
On that note,
Hey, look at that. I got the harness set.
you know,
On that-
after we get them Swiffers done to notate who's got it and not, we could refer to them as Swifties.
we could. But, Skeeter, what you say has some merit. And I would say, Michelle, if you wanted to take a look at my eyes to see if there is in fact something different, I would allow it when we have the proper
yes.
diagnostic tools.
Yes, when we are in the place to do that. Would I be the first one going down on this winch this time as well, or is someone else going to be heading down first this time?
Any volunteers?
I mean, you did a
I
great
suppose it's
job leaping down that
me
last
then.
cliff.
Well, you don't have to go first. I'll go. You get to deal with the other nonsense, and that's fair.
Pardon me, but I did not think that having a retinue of weapons would be necessary, but it appears that way now. So, what do we have as far as armaments go? I know you, Michelle, have yours, and
revolver.
Skeeter, you have a flare gun, and I found this as I hold this like tranquilizer gun. I think it has like 2 bullets left, 2 darts left. Scooters. Anything?
I got my left and I got my right.
They're always locked and loaded.
Always locked and loaded, ready to go.
So Krish, who has been very quiet,
Oh, yeah.
sitting on the opposite side of the. Well, actually, I think she was sitting next to the doctor, but the doctor hasn't woken up yet. But you can see that she shows you all. She's like, "I got this," and she shows you her shotgun, and then you can see that she also got like this big old. She got a blunt instrument. I'm not sure how she's flavored it or anything. It could be like I'm not sure if it's like a nightstick or if it's just a giant wrench. But she has that, and then, she might have a revolver. I just don't know if my tray has it on her sheet properly or not.
She had a pistol, and then it went over the side.
Oh, that's right. That's the one that fell. Thank you. So yeah, but she still has the shotgun. You said you had the injector pistol, so she doesn't have it. But she does have 2 weapons.
Anybody want the shotgun? If Krish is going to stay and keep an eye on the dock.
Skeeter, you any good at shooting?
I mean, I'm passable, but I like to be more of a reconnaissance sort of fella. Like, I want to get in, observe things, and like if it requires shooting, that means I probably shouldn't be there. I mean, I'll carry it. I don't mind carrying it.
I can throw it over my shoulder. I'll have it at the ready.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
You are action MD For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I have-
They
Right.
say if you know how to put something together, you know how to take it apart.
I have gone to the range a couple times, but I'm not exactly what you would call a marksman.
No, that's fine. We'll leave you with the one that'll just knock you out for a little bit. That sounds like the good option. I will follow you down, Skater.
For the sake of ease, we'll say Krish will stay behind, keeping an eye on the doctor and keeping an eye on the now inert working Joe. Now this is the one that was malfunctioning, but at the very least it just like stopped when immobilized, stared at the sky, didn't really do anything. But girl did turn it off. So she'll stay with that and stay with the rover if you guys want to descend. You can also attempt to search for a way you can drive the rover down. That always is an option as well. If you wanted to kind of take a little bit extra time to do that.
I just got this crazy idea. What if we looked around a little bit more for a place we could drive the rover down rather than having to go like old Mission Impossible off the side of this cliff?
Where is your sense of adventure?
And why the hell did you wait
were
until I
up
get
there
everything
and
set
You
up?
missed it.
Dumb
Sometimes genius takes a while. It's got to circle the drain a few times before it's ready to work its way out.
Just the way a broken clock's right twice a day.
That's right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really able to pay attention because I had space wolves that I was entertaining at the time. How fast can we come up with the winch?
Not as fast as you can go down.
That is correct. That's a correct answer.
Well, if you let out all the slack, I'm sure you can go down really fast. So it's what I'm wondering is if we take that down there, would escape be quicker by driving up a hill or by scaling up the side of the cliff with the assistance of a winch?
I believe that scaling up the side is better because if you have a path that is drivable, it is runnable. So if we're trying to drive up, then something can just chase up after it. If we're scaling up this way, then whatever's chasing us would also need to have the ability to fly or
climb.
float, which is less likely. And it doesn't look particularly climbable. It's pretty steep. So I think the winch is the better way to go.
Suppose if we're down there on the bottom, we just all grab onto the line and someone puts the
Group
vehicle
hug.
in reverse.
Group hug. Krish will drive it and group hug, and we all come up.
Like Batman.
So we do have a body of one of those space wolves, right?
Yeah, you have a body. So your inventory of flora and fauna, you've got the space wolf, you've got a couple of those rodents. I think some of those are even alive, if I recall correctly. And I think that's it, because
Yes.
there was the human body that you left. You didn't do anything with the big flying snake, and then I don't think you took any samples of the jellyfish or the scarecrows.
Okay. So I'm just quickly going to look at its paw/hand and see if it is capable of like grasping anything at all, because I'm worried about if we do scale up, they're going to climb along with us. And,
Right.
Mr. Geralt is only focused on these things. He's very short-sighted and
Okay.
metaphorically.
Give
I had to
me
get the eye
a
surgery.
survival or observation test,
Okay.
whichever you prefer. Okay, 3 successes. So they definitely have claws that have they look grippable. It is a very steep climb, so it's probably still going to be treacherous for them. I would say with 3 successes, you would know that you could probably deduce that they probably will not do a vertical climb, but they are probably very good in rocky terrain, and they could probably go like if it wasn't so vertical, they probably could do it.
I think this further underscores your point, Michelle. You see here as I hold up its paw and show that it can grip things. I don't know if they would be able to follow us directly if we were to ascend via winch.
Scooter, are we feeling like going down the winch will be the way to go?
Seems like a plan.
Okay.
All right.
There-
What's the worst that could happen?
So there's no descent to our descent.
There is not. We are in agreement.
That hurts.
Okay. So you once more get the winch set up. We'll say Krish hangs behind. Is Krish or one of you taking her shotgun?
Yes, Michelle has got the shotgun
So
over
you
her
got
back,
it.
and she's got the revolver in her holster.
And you all begin to descend. Everyone go ahead and give me a mobility roll as you go down and you kind of climb down the winch. You can take a +1 to this with the assistance of the winch. Yeah. You just need one success to go down. But if you got extra successes, you can, in fact, help one of your fellow people down.
I got 2 successes and a panicked.
Okay.
Drop something.
You can reduce your panic, by the way. They took some time to reduce their panic, so you can drop that. Sorry, I didn't clear it for you.
That's all right.
Okay.
So Michelle needed to push, but she did end up with 2 successes.
Okay, looks like Skeeter's got one as well, and then Scooter looks like he passed. It's only Mr. Geralt who didn't pass.
I'll give him one of mine.
Okay, so at one point, as Garrett is climbing down, you kind of lose your footing a little bit. Like you don't have proper climbing gear. You guys are literally just rock wall climbing down. You kind of slip, nearly fall, but Scooter is like right above you, and he's able to reach down, grab you before you slip, kind of slam you against the wall a little bit, shake you, throw you onto the sea, and then you're able to continue your descent, and you get all the way down without any real issues. When you get down, you notice that there's, again, just like before, there is this like thin mist that just seems to be almost permanent. It's not to the point where you can't really see. It's there. You can see across, like out into the water, there's some scattered islets here and there, but otherwise it's a very dark shore, very flat water. You notice too, as you're looking out, that there's like this strange like lightning that almost appears like in the water itself. Like every now and then you see these big dark patterns show, and you just see this like, kind of like cackling in the water a bit, like this crackling of light, and then it kind of fades and disappears. You can tell that the ocean doesn't have like these strong crashing waves, but you can tell there looks to be like very strong side to side current. You can kind of see the water like shifting and going side to side. Now, when you get down here, you notice, first of all, that this is when you see the structure, it is immediately recognizable. You see like the building materials that you saw at the colony. So it's the same sort of deal. Like you can see the same kind of fabricated composites, the plastics, the various things that you see your own homes are currently built in. The thing though is like when you look at them, they are like, you can tell it wasn't designed perfectly. Like it certainly feels a little makeshift, and you can see it's kind of hidden amongst a series of these chunks, these boulders here and there. You can see like ship panels. You can see definitely materials from the colony, and you can see some kind of growth on some of the rock as well. The shore is fairly rocky. You do see like there's like those crabs that Chris described, skidding around here and there. But this definitely seemed to be makeshift. It's not that huge. It's probably the size of like a very small house. You see that on the roof there is a dish, like a transmitter dish, and that is about it. Anybody else who wants to make an observation test as you approach, you can certainly do that to see if there's anything else that catches your attention.
Michelle got 1 success and a panic and is keeping it together.
All right. Geralt's got 2. Skeeter's got 2. And looks like Scooter's got 2. Okay, so a couple things you all notice. I'll just kind of go around the horn here. So we'll start Scooter. You notice as you're getting closer to the structure that there appears to be like a portable solar charger that likely isn't supposed to be here. Like back at the colony, there's all sorts of these kind of packed up here and there, and they're scattered about some of the rooftops of the buildings back at the colony. This one, however, as you see it, you're not like right up next to it, but you can tell it's beat up. Like it's seen some wear and tear. It's not brand new. Michelle, you notice that there is a small canoe, for lack of a better term, that looks to be more like repurposed escape pod materials. So you can see that like it's turned upside down. It's kind of pitched on top of a rock, and next to it there looks to be like an oar or two. Skeeter, you notice as you're looking at the hut that it's kind of built into the side of the cliff face, but you notice that there's the way it's been structured and the way it's been built. They've created some kind of seal between the hut and the rock place itself. It's not just like built towards it. They've literally taken steps, almost like hazmat style, to kind of connect and make sure there's a very tight seal between the hut and the cliff itself. And then Jack, you notice as you come up on the ground that there is just outside, there is a broken, like on the rocks, you can see just kind of scattered in the debris. It seems to be like a personal locator beacon. It's the type of thing that would wrap around a person's wrist. It certainly looks busted, like it's fallen or like it's cracked on something. When you go and get fairly close to it, you can see scurrying over it and around it is a very small one of those spider crabs. It's not a whole like 30 of them. It's just like one or two, but you can see that it's laying on the ground and the rocks outside. That's what you see when you guys approach.
I'll pick it up and take a look at the personal locator.
Yeah,
see if there's any.
It's busted, but you could try to do like a Comtech maybe to see if there's. Yeah, you can do a Comtech.
Okay. I'd like to take an audience point to reduce my stress by 1.
Of course.
Got it.
So we're seeing all this stuff, but we're not seeing people.
Yes, that is correct. You don't see any people. Now, I will say with some of you got extra successes, you can see that there are signs of, on some of the spots here and there, like there's when you get down to the beach, then you sort of go up a small incline up on like these boulders and rocks to where the hut is actually built, because it's not like built directly on the sand. You can say that there's some spots here and there, but there certainly looks like a footprint here or there, or like the treads of environmental where you can tell someone's been here relatively recently, like probably within at least the last week or something like that. It doesn't look like it's ancient, it's just you don't see anyone outside right now.
Man, between that used solar panel, somebody goes through setting up that ceiling, like that's somebody trying to keep themselves from freezing to death.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like a long-term kind of thing. But I mean, it's got to be more people from the setup, right? Because I mean, I heard that correct. It looks like the same model of solar panel is what we see. So like a friend of my frozen friend I found by the underground river.
Well, and interesting that they were going through all of that effort to try to keep themselves out of the cold, but also made a canoe. So even with the things that we just fought up the shore a little ways, they were canoeing their way out onto the water, which I would hope someone wouldn't be doing alone, because that's a recipe for never coming back.
I mean, and I hate to say it for a place where it's all day, all time, but like, sometimes certain fish only come out during certain times of the day. So like, if they watched enough, they would know like, all right, when the sun's highest, the thing goes deeper, so I can go out on the water and do some fishing.
Oh,
any signs of like
that's very
food
wise.
preservation?
Of what kind of preservation? Sorry.
Like food preservation? Like if we're thinking they're out there fishing or something.
Yeah.
Any signs of like
drying
racks or smoke?
You don't see anything like that out here, no.
All right.
No. I mean, there's like a couple tools and stuff set up you can see,
Yeah.
but you don't see anything like that particularly. No.
All right.
And if it's okay, when Mr. Girl was kind of futzing around with the little personal device, you're going to see Michelle kind of with no grace at all, just sort of like leaps forward. And she's basically trying to capture the one singular little crab. Since it was not in like a horde of 30, she just wants to kind of grab that one.
Okay.
Since Mr. Girl was pointing out that we haven't captured too many samples yet, that she would like to add to our number of samples.
All right. Roll a mobility test. -1, as it is very tiny and very fast.
Dang it, I slipped.
Ooh.
So it's like the size of like a
-1.
like a really big spider, but it's like bulkier. Like it's got this.
One success.
Michelle, it skitters around quite fast, especially once Jack picks up the locator beacon, and you can see like it skitters out and tries to move about. You're not sure if it was like stuck inside. Maybe you can see there's a giant hole in the back, or excuse me, on the front side of it, Jack. But it skitters around. It tries to climb up one of these smooth boulders, but kind of falls back down. And it's at that point, Michelle, you're able to scoop it up as it lands in that kind of shell-like sand. And yeah, you do manage to get a sample.
Nice.
I imagine she had like maybe a little case that the singular nap relief that she brought out was in. And now since the nap relief is empty, now she's got this thing in it, maybe.
Yeah, sounds good.
Poke some holes in it so it can get some air.
You are just full of all of the ideas. Anybody got a knife? I mean, I can shoot a hole in it, but if anybody's got something sharp that I can...
I got a cutting torch.
I don't know that we want to eat this for a snack.
I have a multi-tool, which I might have like some like.
And she just sort of shoves it in your face. Like,
yeah,
please and thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Can't believe you touched that.
Well, I mean, we did, and I know we established this last time, and now I don't remember if we lost the flora doctor or the fauna doctor.
The flora.
You lost Dr. Sari Valdez.
Okay, but the fauna doctor is still recuperating and stressed out. So somebody's got to do the sample collection, and she's not here. So, but now that you mentioned that she touched it with her hands, and now she just sort of the realization comes over as she like takes the pack back and puts it back in her med kit, and then
out all the hand sanitizer.
Yeah. See, this is where I normally like start playing with my brother's head and like convince him to accidentally scratch his eye or something, but I won't do that with you.
That's how I got pink eye so many times.
I appreciate
Don't
that.
ask. Don't ask. I want to see what that their dish is connected to.
Okay. So you have to go onto the roof if you want to try to give me a mobility test to climb on up. And Jack, you failed your comtech, right?
Yes.
Is that right? Didn't expect it. Yeah. You take a look at the locator. It's damaged. Like likely somebody who's maybe an expert in these things might be able to repair it. But just as it is right now, like without the proper tools or the replacement parts, there's probably nothing you can do for it.
Oh, I slipped when you went after that crab. Good job, though. Perhaps we can look into this a bit later. The logs are not coming up.
Oh yes, absolutely. After you.
All right, so Skeeter climbs to the roof. So you go up the rest of the way. Like there's like kind of a small ramp that seems to have been leveled a bit up to the front of the hut itself. You step to the side. You can see there's boulders and rocks. So you climb up on those, and you almost grab the railing and just pull yourself up. And as you climb up here, you do in fact notice that it is once more like it is definitely Siegson tech. It's the type of tech that you see most certainly all around the colony. It's definitely cobbled together. Like you could tell that it's not that it's it's not that it's like tech that wouldn't actually work. It looks like much like the solar, the portable solar power generator. Like it's very beaten up, but you can tell that they've like attempted to do some whoever messed with this kind of jury rigged it a bit. You do notice that there are wires and there's various cords and cables that dip down into the hut itself, much like on the top of your buildings back at the colony. Like there's these little like holes, these vents where wires are funneled down through, and then a seal is made, so there's like nothing that kind of leaks through itself. So it does seem to be connecting down into more likely some kind of terminal or whatever inside the hut.
All right. All right, we got ourselves a terminal inside. I don't want to mess up the seal here. This might be someplace usable we could come back to.
See? I mean, if everyone at the base goes crazy like this first round of people that came down to build the base, we may need to have a backup base from the base.
Double B. Gotcha.
Double B.
Skeeter, you're welcome if you wanted to make a heavy machinery roll on this thing to kind of inspect it a little bit further. And anything else basically on the roof?
I mean, I can try. I'm not.
You're
why
up
not?
here, so it's up to you. You don't have to.
I'm okay at it. Yeah.
Okay.
Massive hay.
It's just like I said, it looks a little beat up, but at the same time, it could just be weather and that kind of thing.
Man, I ain't pushing myself after what happened recently. That ain't happening. Yep. Nope. We just gonna have to go inside.
All right.
I would like to get out of the elements, please and thank you.
Okay. So who goes inside?
I mean, let's all go in there all at once. That way we make this mistake together. I go ahead and get out my weapons just in case I got to punch Shadow.
All right.
Shadow boxing.
Come on, Cranston.
Presumably someone's got a flashlight or a light on them.
I do.
So you push in. Doesn't seem to be like there's no like locking mechanism. Like it's not like you're going to a personal home. Like you guys know how these doors work, and it's just like your stuff at base. You get a sense that it's probably not hooked up to Apollo because you don't have to do any kind of key card scanning, but you do have to just sort of a manual unhook. So really that's just kind of keeping the wind from knocking this open. But you go inside and you see kind of like a larger version of what you guys stay in that it is like a double bunk. So you live in these pods back on the colony, and some people, like usually like if it's a married couple or something like that, they'll get a larger pod. That's basically what this looks like. And you can see on one side there is a bed. There's actually a bunk of it. In fact, like two, one on top of the other. Looks to be there's some stuff on the top bunk, and then there's the second bunk, which seems to be empty. It has your basic survival blanket and various other things for keeping cold. It is kind of cold in here. It's cold outside as well. You notice that there's all sorts of like personal items and survival gear. There's like pictures and various things on the wall. There's also a makeshift desk from a series of Seeks and branded crates, and you can see that there is a PDAT that seems to be sitting right on top of it. And then there's like all sorts of like odds and ends on that top bunk. And you can see that the back of the hut has what appear to be like hanging mesh fibers. It's like the type of material you would see made of hazmat suits. And you can see like almost like it's a quarantine like sheath that's kind of hanging down a bit. And it's got like a zip right down the middle. So that you would zip up, you could like kind of zip it up and zip it down depending on whether you're going through. And so, yeah, and then there's a bunch of stuff around here. So where are you guys looking? What are you looking for? There's no one in here, I should say, too, if it wasn't obvious.
I'm going to go check out them bunks.
Okay. Give me an observation as you do. Michelle, where are you headed? What are you doing?
Go look at the pictures.
Okay. And then Skeeter, what are you doing?
I'm looking for that terminal.
Okay. So give me an observation, Skeeter. And then Jack, what are you doing?
Jack is just going to keep an eye out the door.
Okay.
Like, is there a window on this door?
No, there's not. There doesn't seem to be any exterior visibility from inside here.
Okay, so he's going to keep the door cracked open and
Okay.
looking about so that we don't get surrounded.
Okay. Observation for you, and we'll just kind of keep it passive, whatever you roll for a while.
He's worried about space, folks.
Okay, so Scooter, you said you had 2 successes. You're going through the stuff in the top bunk.
Yeah.
All right. You find a few things. You find the usual odds and ends that you would expect to find: survival gear. Looks to be some like nutrient packs and stuff like that. All that kind of standard stuff. It looks like there's some things like nap relief and various other like medicines that are either in a halfway state or some of them are haven't been used yet. You notice that there is a some kind of like musical instrument. Like you pick it up and you could very easily see it's like a flute. It's like a pan flute. You notice that there is, what else do you see? And there's like a physical handwritten charcoal journal, like an actual handwritten thing.
That's okay.
Yeah. And it's more like a sketch. It's like a sketchbook / journal. It's like for drawing and things like that. But it's probably about, foot and a half in terms of one size and like a foot. It's a very big, like kind of like
Big.
artist drawing thing.
Well, pocket in the drugs, and I'm gonna pick up the journal and go have a seat at that desk and start flipping through it.
Okay.
Do that for a bit.
And then Michelle, you were looking at the drawings and things. Is that right?
Did you say there were some like photos on the wall? Is that
Not photos?
Did I hear that right?
They're pictures, like literally drawings. And so what you're seeing
Yes.
are,
Yeah, I'll look
as
at
you
those.
go and you inspect them, no roll necessary immediately, because all you really see is they look like drawings of creatures. And it's the type of thing that you might see in like a science textbook where you see the drawing of an animal or an organism and you see various notes here and there. If you would like to roll a survival test, we can see, or even, survival would be fine. If you want to do a survival test, you might be able to glean some information about what you're looking at.
Well, crap. I rolled it. I got nothing. I pushed it and I got a stress, but I am keeping it together.
Okay. Yeah. It's definitely, a lot of these things look aquatic or semi-aquatic, which makes sense. Nothing that there's only probably one that you kind of notice that looks familiar, and that's the crab that you just, collected. The other ones,
Okay.
haven't seen them yet. Skeeter, you were looking for the terminal. So you do notice that there is a PDAT here, and you can see that someone has jacked the kind of connection terminals down into the back of this PDAT. Go ahead and did I ask you to do a roll already?
You had me do a search or observe.
Okay. So you see that as you come over to this little desk area, you see that, but you also notice that there's some of these crates are like think of them like stackable like IKEA things, and you kind of pull a drawer out here, like the type of stuff you might see at like a medical facility. You start going through them a little bit. You find a few other things in here. Again, you find what looks like some basics like tape and some of it looks like smelling salts and such. You see what looks like some kind of like magnifying glass and various other devices. You see some broken stuff in here. You find a compass as well, and it's like when you first pull it out, it's like it's almost like a jewelry box. And when you open up the jewelry box, it's kind of like this polished looking compass. And then you've got the PDAT as well. So what do you want to do with those things you just discovered?
All right. Well, I'm going to file this here set of boxes away as cool shit that may or may not be carryable while we go back up. I got to look in that PDAT, man. Got to know. I mean, I could carry it later, but, something might happen. I got to know now.
Okay. So give me a Comtech.
Okay.
Scooter, while you're going through the journal a bit, No roll really necessary. It's just basic reading. You can see it's like, it does very much look like a sketchbook with periodic, like almost like diary kind of journal entries. But the first thing you notice is that you notice who this is written by, and it's by someone by the name of Hana Al-Farsi. And you, if you say that name out loud, Jack would at the very least know that as one of the advanced team members that Seeks and sent, along with the Working Joes.
Yeah, I did. Oh wow, it's a Hannah Al-Farsi who did this.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I got her journal here.
You say Hannah?
That's the one that I could pronounce correctly. Yeah.
Oh, we know I'm not the best at pronouncing things correctly. And here, let me see.
I'll let you look at it.
You start taking a look, giving up your post to watch for security. So you start flipping through it with Scooter, and I'll say the two of you notice that in addition to like some of these sketches here and there, there's also like these crude maps that she's kind of drawn a bit here and there, mostly along the coast. You see that she's also marked some of the craters that you pass along, and you can see that some of them she's marked as like fruit, and then others she marks like with a big X. She has like her own little coded system. It's like she's keeping track of the places where she might be able to like harvest or gather some things from it. So you notice that. The other thing you find, again, Scooter and Jack, is a little bit more personal. You see like she talks to herself at points where she's referencing someone named Lucas and how she's getting very worried about him. He's been gone for a really long time. You get the sense that she is also very worried about the Working Joes. And there's a few times where she was like writing about the Working Joes as well. Like for some reason they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, or their work was like kind of being redirected, that kind of stuff. And that's kind of the gist that you guys are getting as you're flipping through.
Who's Lucas, man?
I try and remember, because if I knew who Hannah was, maybe I would know who Lucas was.
Yeah. So once the name kind of brings up, there's a Lucas Martelli, who is also one of the advanced team members.
And as far as the list goes, it's been a while since I've looked at it, but I think there's a Lucas Martelli.
All right. More and more of these advanced team members are turning up in weird ways.
I mean, we still need to attempt to find her. If only we could figure out what was going on with these PDATs. Jeremy, we do have some audience left if you wanted to try to get rid of a stress so that you could maybe push that nothing on the contact roll.
All right. Okay. All right. Password. If I was out here, fuck it. Actually, password 1234, capital P.
Oh my gosh.
Shit, I don't know. And just classic. I need to roll something that I have a small pool in. It can't be my main thing that I bought the actual season device that gives me a bonus to the roll on top of it.
Oh my gosh.
No.
You even have
17 dice and no successes.
Yeah, you maybe it's just out of juice, or maybe her like maybe it's more of a case where like you just need to charge it a little bit longer or something like that. It looks like it's in some sort of like backup, like emergency state, so, and you can't kind of bypass it, so you just kind of have to wait around. You can probably try it again later.
So just to be clear, we've got one of these that was outside and broken, and one of these that's in here, and we just can't get into it.
This is the tablet. The thing outside that Jack found was a personal locator beacon. It's the type of thing that you kind of wrap around your wrist usually. Okay. This is the actual tablet thing, and it does seem like it was kind of getting jacked into this. The one thing you might also notice, Skeeter, as you're trying to maybe like figure out how to do this, you do see that there are cords, like some of the cables that run down from the ceiling run deeper into the hut to where that kind of seal is, and it looks like it's kind of running through it and literally into the cliff face.
They might have nothing in there. Ooh, they might have had a station here. Somebody goes in there, they're trying to keep themselves all zipped up. Like protocol, like don't touch the crab sort of thing, right? And like one person's out here, communicate with the person in there because maybe they don't want to do it face to face. I hate to say you're going to get crab hands now. That's
Yeah,
science.
and now like when she doesn't want to touch anything with her hands, now she's itchy, and now like all of the things that always happens like that.
Yeah.
So I believe under quarantine protocols, if something like that is zipped, you should keep it zipped. But
Mhm.
we are not going to find the answers that we want by just leaving that zipped. So, and she'll encourage everyone to sort of make little makeshift little like mask, pull your shirt up kind of a thing before we go through, and be like, that is best that we can do for some protective equipment as we find ourselves here.
That's best y'all can do. Scooter will seal off his eco all world survival suit that has its own air supply. Man, I ain't catching shit out here, man.
Well, it appears that you just volunteered to be the first one through that curtain there.
Did.
The one other thing I should have given Scooter and Jack, when you were going through the sketchbook, she does towards the back, it's one of the, not the last like entry, there's still some empty pages and such, but towards like the latter half of the book, you can see she starts drawing like random, it almost looks like debris, and there's notes about stuff washing up on shore, and that's where like the sketch of that flute comes up, and so that's part of like the various debris that seems to come up, and so she's like basically documents the things that she's seen.
If only she had seen her face. We could find that face. That's really what we need to find.
Found the
Sorry,
flute
what
here.
A flute.
And then drew a
I just
picture.
want to make sure I'm hearing that right. Like a flute.
Like a pan flute, like the thing you go back and forth on. That's a tube harmonica.
That washed up.
That's what it looks like. She done drew it in a washed up state, which means someone else made this here flute that I found on her bed. She was playing it. If you got to worry about crab hands, man, space flute mouth has got to be worse.
Mm-hmm.
So someone on the advanced party found a musical instrument.
Yep.
That came up out of the water.
Yep.
And she played it.
Jack, roll a wits test for me, and you can take a +1 to this. So pure wits +1. Actually, no, I'm lying. Observation would have been fine. I'm lying. Observation was totally fine.
Observation normal?
Observation with a +1. Yeah. All right, one success. Do you want to push? There might be benefits to doing so. So it's up to you. While you're doing that, Laugh Love Lindy, thank you for the raid. Okay. 3 successes. All right, so I'm going to give you 3 things. So unless you wanted to ask questions, but I could just give you 3 things if you want.
No, go ahead and give me the 3 things.
First thing you notice, and this is what catches your attention, maybe you're flipping past it initially. And it's just like she's drawing trash, just like she's just a person occupying their mind, maybe, whatever it might be. But you notice that etched into some of the pipes are these various symbols, like cuneiform symbols. You have seen things like this before. You have seen them from your boss. Your boss has shown you these. Again, I don't know how much Jack has shared with other people, but you've seen stuff like this before. Secondly, if you look at the actual pipes themselves, you can see that there's like some kind of mechanism inside. Now, at first, it might just look like maybe it's like an amplifier or whatever, or something like that, but it's not. Like you look at it and like there's pieces inside that seem extraneous. And then secondly, you do notice that as you kind of play around with it, or you blow like a little bit of wind into it, you do notice like it kind of lights up here and there. So those are your 3 things.
So these pipes, You see these symbols on here?
Yeah. I think it's French or something.
Yes, space French. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen these symbols before in some of my reports.
So y'all knew there was, stuff.
Hmm?
There were things that are already here, advanced enough to create symbols and musical instruments.
That and to carve a face in the side of a cliff. Yes.
Man,
Yes,
we're gonna find such cool shit.
Yeah.
You notice how these pipes, they seem to, it's almost like it's a machine.
I suppose so.
Man, there's been lots, and like you get that weird sounds that keep coming from around while we're here.
Yeah, look at this. And that's when I blow air across it, but I don't put my lips up against it.
Well, thank
So
goodness.
Okay.
Michelle
roll a wits
having
test. Now roll a
Oh,
wits
go ahead.
test. Yeah. Just pure wits. Okay. You keep your mouth away from it so you don't like physically contact it, but you blow a little bit more heavily into it. And as you do, there's some of those symbols light up. But not only that, you see for the briefest of moments, this holographic projection starts to open up. You can see it just kind of digitalizes in front of you right in the air. You guys have seen holographs before. Like it's not like it's a thing that doesn't exist. And suddenly the little note comes out. It's a little atonal, but you see this like little image pops up and then quickly fades.
Now, Mr. Girls, you are far too important to risk your health with this device. But I've already grabbed the crabs, so if you wouldn't mind, I am more than happy to continue experimentation with this.
I don't mind the continued experimentation, but I don't want you to put your mouth on it.
She holds out her hand.
I hand it over.
And she just sticks it right. So she's gonna blow into this this flute. No cautious concern.
That sounds like a mobility test, so you don't accidentally take a bite out of it or something.
Okay. As you start blowing into the flute, much like what you saw with Jack, is that you see the symbols light up, but then it begins to project images, and it sustains it a little bit longer. But like as you're playing, you're realizing that the sounds you're making they're not greatly musical in quality. Like they sound like you're playing a little flat here, a little sharp there. You're just kind of playing random notes. And so what effectively happens is like little blips of some image, some colorful image is shown, but then quickly dissipates. And then another one pops up, then quickly dissipates. And so you guys are smart enough. Some of you guys are smart enough to piece together the notion that maybe it's not just random notes that have to be played, but like specific notes that have to be played. Now you don't necessarily know what those are, but it looks like with the right pattern, something could display or something could be done from this.
I bet you we need to get ourselves some sound recording equipment. Next time those big damn space turtles start doing that weird noise, or we hear some other nonsense like that, we record it. We test that out on this thing.
That's it.
For science.
For science.
For science.
So you're saying it's not hot cross buns.
I mean, if it's
I
going to
wouldn't
be,
rule it out.
if it's going to be anything from ancient human culture, it's going to be the little weird Willy Wonka thing that he does when he calls it Oompa Loompas.
I'm very excited to attempt further experimentation upon this, but just in case it is actually a whistle of sorts that actually might call things to our location, perhaps I might put it in my bag for later.
Okay.
And so she'll kind of wrap it up and put it in her bag.
Okay.
So where were you going into this creepy zipper room?
Yeah, Skater's got the mask and everything ready to go.
Going in there. You ain't never been afraid of a zipper before. Don't start now.
You know me too well. All right.
All right,
Open
so
sesame.
you head to the back of the hut. You zip open this kind of quarantine like I don't know, wall or sheath, and you push into the cave itself. We're going to take a brief pause there to do a giveaway. We have a giveaway to do. This is the perfect time as you guys are all shifting from one location to the next. So let's go ahead and do a quick giveaway. So first, want to say a big thank you to Norse Foundry, our buddies over there. They're giving away, I think we're doing $50 certificate to one of the winners who went over to our giveaway channel over on our Discord. So thank you for doing that. We're going to continue to do stuff like this over and over again. So if you don't win tonight, or if you didn't get into the giveaway fast enough, you should still join the Discord. You should still hop over there, because we're going to do these periodically over the next several months or so. But what we asked people to do is we asked people to like hop over there, drop an idea about like their favorite setting to play in, or like a setting they liked from a movie or video game or something they created themselves. And we got all crap loads of stuff, both like new stuff, old stuff, both random things that people were sharing their ideas. So even if you didn't win, there's a lot of cool ideas to sort of look at. And it was awesome conversation. But I did just roll it. And so the winner, and we'll, again, if you're not watching, it's okay. It's a Monday night. But the winner is Bob the Bad Guy. So thank you so much to everyone who entered. Thank you to all of you who dropped some ideas and engaged in the conversation. And again, big thanks to Norse Foundry. And don't forget that if you want to get a discount on Norse Foundry stuff, you can use our little discount code. Just do Lolly. That's it. LOLLY. And you can get 10% off. So Bob the Bad Guy, if you're listening or if you're watching this, we'll reach out. And I'll catch you on Discord, and we'll get you situated with all the things that you need to get the goodies that you just won. And that's it. All right. So let's get back to it then. All right. So you guys, let's see what I want to do. Let's do some different music. Let's do some creepy music. Let's do a little like the Thing. I always like doing Thing music. Okay. So you push open. You unzip the thing. You can see all these different, like, again, plastic composites, mesh fibers, microfibers, things like that. You can see a couple layers of them. Again, you've done, all of you have done stuff like this before, considering your fields and everything like that. There's probably stuff like this back at the base as well. And you push inside. Is everyone going in?
I will let Skeeter go first, because he's got the suit.
Okay. So,
Mr. Girl will go second because he's got an environmental suit.
Okay. If anybody goes in that doesn't have an environmental suit, let me know.
Michelle does not have an environmental suit. I've got a parka.
Yeah, okay. I got a parka too. We get the short end of the stick.
I have expedition fatigues, but I don't think expedition fatigues.
No. They're just close.
No.
Okay.
That's what I thought, but I thought I would double check just in case there's a little description that I missed. But nope, I just got close.
See, your mistake was not going to prison and having a corporate funded release program.
Apparently, just going to med school was just not enough to earn me one of those fancy suits.
You worked too hard for it.
All right. So Skater, Jack, you go in, and it is a cave. Like, unsurprisingly, it is very much a cave. You can see that on the opposite side of where you entered and went through this little checkpoint, like the seal has been anchored to some of the cave rock. And one of the things you'll notice, maybe if you have anything on your environmental suits, or if you're doing any kind of environmental sensing, much warmer in here. It's actually decently warm and humid, in fact. And it's dark, and it starts to push forward, but there's enough room to maneuver. You notice that eventually as you're moving forward, you're starting to kind of move, kind of first like almost like an incline for a bit, and then eventually you start dipping down. The pathway is kind of slippery and treacherous at times, but you've noticed that there are some handholds that have been anchored into the wall that kind of help you along the way. Michelle, you're going in? Is that right?
Yeah, I would say Skeeter, then Mr. Girls, and then me and Scooter.
When you go in, you will notice, in addition to it being very warm and humid in here, it actually feels, compared to where you've been for the past week and ever since you landed, like it's warm. Like it actually feels noticeably warmer in here. And the second thing you notice is that there is a very noticeable stench of sulfur that's wafting up from the cave. So you can, it's a little foul, but it's faint, but you can definitely smell it. Otherwise, you don't have any immediate effects. Like you don't start coughing and choking and dying or anything like that, but it actually feels fairly comfortable in here. With that being said, Scooter, do you hang behind or do you follow?
Man, I was going to hang behind because I ain't got no suit, but I also don't want to be out here by myself.
Yeah, Michelle's just looking behind her, like, coming?
Fine, I'll come along.
Just, it's a little smelly, just to warn you.
Oh my gosh, I'm going into a fart box.
I, as a player, know this is a bad idea for them, but would I, as my character, know this is a bad idea for them?
I would say you're not certain either way yet.
Okay.
It depends on how much the particulates come. Like you're not a scientist, so I would say it's probably not like immediately jumping out at you. Okay. Now, Skater girl, you're up in front, and eventually, and it is a long kind of hike through here, and it is kind of slippery and treacherous. And there's once or twice where you know, one or two of you might slip on your ass, but you get up, and as long as you move relatively calmly, you're fine. And I'm sure you have light as well. The more you descend, the warmer it gets. It certainly gets to the point where you like Scooter and Michelle, like it actually feels very nice. Like it feels really, really nice. In fact, very humid as well. And eventually you all come to like the cavern opens a bit, and you can see that it kind of spreads off in a couple different directions, and you can see there becomes this sort of big pocket underneath the earth a bit, and then you can see there's some outlets left and right. But what you do notice is that there are pools of water kind of scattered about, some of which you can see like there's like a little bit of steam coming up from them. And when you look around, you can see that there very much appears to be something like a makeshift laboratory in here. Scooter especially, I think you would notice immediately there's a lot of monitoring devices that have been set up in here. You can see a lot of it is set up around some of these pools. Some of it's set around some of the earth as well. You can roll a heavy machinery if you want to try to be a little bit more specific on what that might be. Skeeter, you were looking for it up above. You see now that there is a full-fledged terminal down here, like the type of thing that you would find in a science office. It sort of dawns on you, having gone up to the roof and then come down here, that this is likely an off-network terminal, meaning like back at the colony, all of the terminals, all of your devices are funneled through Apollo. You have a central Apollo system, so all of your computer, all of your working Joes, everything funnels through that central Apollo. This has more than likely been jury-rigged to not send back in any way. So that's something you notice. And I would say your greedy little wildcatter eyes notices that there are some interesting colorations in a lot of the rock around here as well. Like you can see some veins, some very useful things down here. Some shiny bits of quartz and opal. You can see what looks mostly like some kind of copper. And obviously, once it's conveyed to you, sulfur is very useful. Very useful for you all. Scooter, how did you...
money here.
There's money here. There's definitely money here. Scooter, how'd you do on the heavy machinery?
I got 2 successes. I also got me some panic, but I'm keeping it together.
Okay. With 2 successes, I'll say that you identify 2 types of equipment down here.
All right.
One, you can see what are clearly geothermal monitoring devices. You can see they're monitoring heat coming up from various vents that they found down here. And the second thing you notice appears to be it looks very much like a a filtration system that's used in the water filtration plant back at the colony. You can see like there's like a 2-part filtration system. One of it's mechanical. You can see like they're trying to filter out particulates from the water. And then you can see that there's a chemical component that kind of removes some of the toxicity as well. And that has been connected to one of these pools up here.
It's weird. Well, like here they're measuring like the heat, but here they're filtering hot pool water like what we do back at camp. This is one of the water filter things. So I don't know why they do that. I mean,
So like the water we're drinking back there came from here?
didn't come from here, but he's doing something with the water. And I really don't want to go to the output of this thing and give it a taste, because I bet it's going to taste like mustard.
Water that tastes like mustard can't be good for you.
I agree with that entirely.
So
But
I mean,
mustard
this is
tastes
just
delicious.
this is just
Yeah,
some
but
sort
not
of
as a drink.
this is just some sort of filtration, like recycling, like we have back at home.
Well, I mean, I'll take a look at it and see, because I have a thought that like maybe they're trying to scrape out the filter and get the stuff that's in the water and not the water itself, and they're just using it as a separation tool. But I'll take a look and see if I can figure out what the output of this is feeding into, if it looks like they're using it for anything, or if they're
Okay. Michelle or Geralt, what are you doing? I know Scooter was very interested in the terminal, and I know Scooter is messing around with this machinery. What are the two of you doing down here?
Mr. Geralt is interested in finding any sort of documentation, like
Okay.
any sort of information that he can find.
Okay. So you're probably with Skeeter by that terminal then. That would make sense. What about you, Michelle? What are you doing?
Michelle is doing the dumb thing of because I think you said that there were there's this area and then there are a couple other directions off of here.
This
So
definitely
she's
opens
gonna
up, and then there's some exits. Yeah.
Yeah, so she very stupidly is going to start meandering to the right just to see what might be around that corner.
Okay. So you kind of start to peek down one of these exit paths. Okay. You can give me an observation, and then Skeeter or Geralt, since you're both on the terminal, one of you can roll a contact, or one of you can roll a contact. And the other person can take a +1 from getting the bonus from someone helping.
Would you like me to take a look, or do you want to drive?
I think I got this.
Right.
This one has power. I think I can do it.
Well, watch out for that right there, as I give you the +1.
Oh, that's a good point.
You're supervising. You're so
Yes.
helpful.
Right,
You
of course.
and your supervising.
Okay. Oh, man, that's a good point. I almost missed that power input.
Yes, the
Okay.
power input. Yes, yes.
All right, 4 successes is fantastic. So I've got some stuff I can give you, and then you can just ask a question at some point too. So you find a bunch of stuff in here. This is like the mother lode. So first, you find what appear to be like actual digitalized like mapping, like topographical mapping of some of the areas. It basically seems to identify various like sites and hotspots. The notes in terms of sites, where they just sort of reference sites, is very vague. Says that there's some kind of, and this is going to catch Jack's attention, it's emitting the same electromagnetic signature, albeit faint, that she discovered at the cliff face. And then the hotspots she discovered through what apparently were thermal infrared imaging that she used for one of her modified pups. And so you have a map, what looks like that covers a significant chunk of the continent that you're on, and you can see scattered about this continent are like 3 or 4 of these sites. One of which you note is just a couple miles north of where you're currently at on the shore.
Take a look at that.
Oh man.
And that.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. That right there is a lot of money. I mean, also interesting.
When the two of you start zooming in, like you kind of look at that spot just north.
Enhance.
You enhance.
See, Mr. Girls is the one leaning over your shoulder. Enhance.
Exactly. That's the plus one.
I wish I could do the keyboard thing, but I'll probably screw up the stream if I did. Okay, so, all right, a couple things you would notice that there are some notes alongside of it. First, you see that there is an image file, a couple of them, in fact. And Jack, you can see, not unlike the grainy drone footage that Arthur York showed you, it definitely looks like a cliff face. And in that cliff face is a carved, massive face. It's broken up a bit. You can see there's like some weird patterns like in and around it, but it's massive. It's huge. The mouth is gigantic. And but these are better images. They're closer, they're less grainy. From what you can see, like that mouth is so wide that it looks like you could easily like drive like five to 6 rovers side by side directly into it without an issue. Like it's enormous.
Is that it? As I like shake Skeeter's shoulders, like I completely break my decorum. As
wait, look at this thing. Look at the scale, man. That's massive.
That's
Miss Girl, if I didn't have this sealed and I was scared to breathe in particulates, I would kiss you right now. But this is a hell of a find.
Well, that'll have to wait till later. As like again, Mr. Geralt is like completely breaking decorum at this moment. He's excited.
Yeah, and Skeeter's looking forward to getting rich, so he's right there with you. Like 2 little kids shaking each other.
The notes specifically, as you start reading through some of the notes on this spot, like they reference like alien ruin something. It also has like some pup data of it, Skeeter, and you can definitely tell that there are 5 clear like chambers inside of that place. They don't have any specific details about it. It does seem to note that Lucas went back to the colony site to try to get more equipment and supplies to do a proper like excavation or discovery of it, but there's never been any kind of follow-up. It does note, however, like they hope that this is enough for Arthur York to let them off of this shithole of a planet. That is like typed out at some point. So that's one of the things that you would get. You note that there are many entries and files and logs on safe preparation techniques for various foods. And you can see that there are some references to different animals, some that you can eat, some that you can't, some that you can eat only if you do this thing or that thing. It's referencing things like worms and clams and shrimp is okay, but spider crabs and some of the fish and stuff that she's collected, not so much. She specifically references the spider crabs. Like if they bite you or you eat one, you'll basically feel cold from the inside out for like a week. And that Lucas apparently was laid up for one. And even the vents didn't warm him up after he ate one. Then there's all these like various like canoe and fishing expeditions where she's documenting things like microbial mats, coral reefs with unknown materials, schools of bioluminescent fish where she references things like lightning cascading through the schools like a cloud. Talks about various predators, like a jellyfish creature she's referenced. There's unpredictable ocean currents. And then you see like a note. They seem to shift on a whim. Sometimes I think it knows I'm going to go one direction, so the currents take me another. It references a bunch of stuff about toxic algae blooms. about how fish population studies and water sample analysis and underwater topography that seems to be limited because the pups aren't built for that, stuff like that. So those are like the big 3 things. You can get a follow-up question if there's something you want, but it's like the mother lode of whatever this person was studying.
I think you're muted.
Oh, I'm not sure what else to look up. I will admit, like, let's just say hypothetically, Mr. Girl, that we had some people here that had a reason for staying off network. And like, let's just brainstorm what sort of things that they wouldn't want to be sharing and search for it.
Well, I think it's because there's multiple companies here.
Right.
And, obviously Seekson is the one that has rights to this, and, it's our copyright. And so, it should go to us, but political subterfuge, not political, corporate subterfuge and espionages.
I mean, these people were like a little bit frustrated, right? They wanted off this place. What if they got a little tired of waiting for Mr. York, and maybe they set aside some information, like play Peter against Paul sort of thing? I'm curious to see if we've got some segmented data where maybe they save a little bit over here and a little bit over there. I don't know. That's just me. I'm curious to see if there's any sort of play from another company, or maybe if anybody here was kind of two-timing.
Well, I'm okay with finding out more information as long as you are more careful than a cat when it comes to curiosity.
Oh, man, I'm careful. I am curious, but I know when to get out. And this is all official, Seekson supervised, certified business right now.
So what we have to do is we have to verify this location of this entrance, we could say. If we can go in and find something, that would be wonderful. But that is the main, most important part, is to verify this so that we could send further crews out here. Anything beyond that we do is better for our prospects. As he looks around to everyone.
We'll say,
and notices that Michelle is not in the room.
Yeah, Michelle's not there. Scooter's been messing around with the filtration system. And Scooter, what you do notice that it is trying to output and clean some of this water. The second thing you notice is that some of the pools actually have some macrofauna in here. You can see clams. These like hardened exterior shells of clams have been kind of caked up around the side of it. You see that there are these buckets and these crates and things like that, where if you start going through the full process of the filtration system, like you do see that there is like an input hose and then there's an export hose, and it's a ridiculously noisy process. But there are also a series of clean jugs. You can see water clean like labeled on some of these, and like if you peel back and you take a look at them, you sniff or like even taste, like they are clean. Like just from working back at the colony, like the filtration systems are no joke. Like they are actually really, really good. It's multi-step process. So it looks like they're trying to make drinking water.
Listen, we got refreshments. Everyone.
Oh, yeah. So depending on how far down this rabbit hole we want to go, we can talk it out over a cup of Joe.
I don't got coffee beans. I mean, all I got are clams, and I don't want hot clam water.
Yeah, at least Jeff got it.
Yeah,
so
I got you.
Oh, I didn't get it.
It was a refreshments reference. Anyone notice where Michelle went off to?
Okay,
Oh, she's right over. Oh,
you look over and she's not there. You just see like an empty dark spot where one of the exits to the cave is. Michelle, maybe what caught your attention is as you were looking down this entrance, you saw some flickering lights, beautiful flickering lights, like small, but you could see them in a distance. And as you kind of maybe take a handful of steps down that path, you can see it opens up into yet another one of these caves with a series of these pools. And you can see that there are these small specks of bioluminescent light that seems to be flickering and flashing in the water and around the edge of the water of some of these pools.
She's going to go up and stick her face in that area and take a look more closely.
Okay, give me an observation test.
Okay. And I think I rolled an observation test. I think when I went in this direction.
Okay, yeah, we can roll it over then. Sure. Oh yeah, there it is. 2 successes. Okay. All right. So you notice that what's giving off the light, you can see in the water, there are these worms that are swimming about. They are long, thin. They're some kind of tube worms. You can see that they're like on the edges. They're not like swimming like the way a fish would swim, but you can see them more along the edges, like popping out of some of the porous rock. They have, well, like if you kind of like poke at one with a stick or a rock or whatever, you don't have to do anything too dangerous. You can see that they have these segmented exoskeletons, and it almost looks like there's like this fin-like or feathery plume at one side that it's like you can see it's like flitting a little bit, and that seems to be what is emitting the little bits of light. And whenever one of them on one side of the pool flickers the light, you can see another on the other side, 5 feet away or so, in terms of full diameter, flicks as well. Like almost like there's communication patterns happening going on, like a bird call kind of deal. And that's what you see. I would also notice that since you got 2 successes, you can see in this pool that there are also actually swimming about, and almost like they're eating down the water, like along on the sides. You can see like this little like fauna or debris or some sort of material. You can see these almost look like shrimp, basically. They got these transparent looking bodies. You can see they have these little stalks coming out with eyes and such. And like they're kind of eating along the sides a bit here and there. Yeah, they seem to be some kind of macrofauna just living in these pools.
So what Michelle would like to do is she'd like to take 2 different like sample jars or something that I imagine she's got, something in like her med kit or whatever. And she wants to attempt to sort of like drag them through the water. And so in one of them, she wants to grab the shrimp thing. And in the other one, she wants to grab both of the colorful ones so that they can talk to each other in the same thing.
There's basically worms and there's shrimp is basically what you're looking for. Okay, they're not very big. So, just give me a mobility test. This is less about you getting them. It's more about you slipping and falling in. And it's around this time that the rest of you notice that she's not there. So what do you do with that information?
Keep going about what they're doing, I think.
Right?
I mean,
if we don't know it, we can't do anything about it.
We know now that she's missing.
Oh,
I'd call out like, Doc, did you fall in?
Well, yeah, is it like, are there further places that we can go, or is there only a way back?
There's a big cavern in which there's a couple of these pools. And then in the cavern, in addition to the path back, the tunnel that goes back, there are a couple other tunnels that go further and elsewhere into this underground system. Right.
And so I would have known that because we had to walk through that to get here, or I would have had to. Okay. So because I know that there are alternate ways that were behind us, so, we wouldn't really do very well if we didn't have a doctor and something happened to us.
That's true. I got it figured out. I'll call out Marco. Yep, she's dead.
Enough for Michelle to hear.
Okay, Michelle, you hear a vague, distant sound of Marco as you lean over the edge, nearly slip once or twice, but you're able to scoop up in some water these tube worms, these very small tube worms, slightly bigger shrimp. And you kind of put them into these containers, and you get a couple of each, no problem. As you kind of slip and kind of get your balance, as the sounds of Scooter begin to echo, you hear the sounds of sort of dripping or splashing water, Michelle.
Michelle is going to quickly kind of screw the lids back on the other 2 and look in the direction of the sounds.
You can see that on one of the other pools that is kind of off to the side, like as you came in, there's probably like a split. You can go left or right. Maybe you went left, and you can see waddling towards you, but less towards you and more towards the sound of Scooter's voice. You see what looks like for lack of a better term, a bear-sized toad that's just... And as you look back, its eyes, which are like this sort of milky gray, this horrible like Star Wars blue gray, like the Star Wars milk, has that kind of color. You can see they peel back, and you can see as it's standing there looking at you, 3 tongues come out and kind of unfurl in different directions. And that's when it opens up its mouth and it starts to croak. And you hear echoing throughout this cavern this really loud, horrific cacophony sound. I need you to... 1 second.
No.
Eep.
I need you to roll something.
Oh,
for me.
God.
1 sec.
Scooter just hears, listens. Is that Polo? Is that?
Did no one ever teach you how to play that game?
Okay. All you need to do first roll. So you increase your stress by 1, then roll panic. As when you're looking at it, its mouth opens up. You see 3 tongues go off in these different directions, and you can see hanging from the inside of its mouth on its side, underneath its tongue, as it grows wide and starts to get it kind of vibrates a bit. You can see there's these pustule sacs that are inside, and you can see there's bits and pieces of what looked like some fauna, like chunks of fish or crab, or you can see bits of these shrimp. And as like it opens up and it starts like roaring at you, you could hear like the echo of those little things that are still alive in its pustule sacs underneath that kind of baritone of the croak.
Ew.
So
As you roll
Michelle
panic,
was
you
like
start to
trying to
tremble.
like twist the lids back on the jars as this was coming up, and so I imagine that like she still has these sort of like glass jars in her hands, and she's trying to like put them back in her bag, and the trembling does not serve her well as she's trying to carefully manage those.
All right, we're gonna move into initiative, and we'll
glass
kind of go from
clinking.
there. So we're starting.
Right.
We're starting with Scooter. Scooter, maybe you called out. You hear the response. That doesn't sound like Michelle when she calls back, but all of you hear it. It's extraordinarily loud, but it's probably even louder to you, Scooter, because you're not in a suit and your naked ears are hearing it. Scooter, what would you like to do?
You know, first reaction is to, oh shit, out of there and just book it. But then I'm like, no, dang it. I'll go help the doc. So I'm going to try and find the right direction to run based off this terrible noise that I don't want to run to. I'm going to go that way.
I don't think you have to worry about doing any kind of roll. It's obvious which ones is going down, but you will say fast and slow action. You kind of move and race down this tunnel, and you come out into another almost identical kind of opening with all these different pools here and there. You can see the trail of water from one of these pools to your right up to this massive, it's like a bear-sized toad, white coating on its skin. You can see there's these bulbous welts and stuff up and down, these thick arms. It doesn't so much have like back legs as it essentially just has like one large kind of flipper fin that seems to be kind of pushing it along. It is really, really big, but it definitely has some swole arms, and like there's like filth on the ground in front, and you can see Michelle off to the left kind of fiddling with what looks like some specimen containers. Okay, so that's Scooter's turn. It is now this creature's turn. So
Yep.
this creature's going to go. So let's see what it does. I'm excited. Okay, so
This is going to be gross stuff. This is
all right,
going
it's
to
a
be gross.
single target, and both of you are in range. So I will do a 50-50. 1 to 3, it'll go towards Scooter, and then 3 to 6, and 4 to 6, it'll go towards Michelle. So it makes sense. It's going to go towards Michelle. That's what it saw. It's going to send its 3 tongues in your direction, Michelle. And it begins to essentially lash you with these thick saliva-coated tongues. And they start to slash into you. Do you have armor?
No, I've got fatigues and a parka.
And a can-do attitude.
Okay, so as the tongues come out and they start like rapid fire slashing you here and there, they're at their very end. They're very thin, like almost like whip-like, and you can see them like they cut through your clothes into your skin, and they make these little cuts. It's going to be 2 points of damage. Not only that, but you feel an immediate effect as like the saliva begins to seep into your skin. So
That's
I
fine.
only have 3 health.
you feel as though you are utterly on fire. Like you feel like your skin is burning. You feel like exactly like the laceration on your arm, maybe one on your chin. Maybe they got you on the leg as well. Each one of those, it's just intense fire, and it begins to slowly radiate and start pushing out from those locations until your whole body feels like it.
So
You
she
feel like
had
you're
this, like-
burning from the inside out.
Yeah, so she like had the parka on, and like it was warm down here, but she was kind of leaving the parka on just, because she doesn't have it. But at this point, like she's like just ripping the parka off because this was just like already
I'm glad you said
uncomfortable, and
that.
now it's just completely unbearable.
That's exactly what you need to do on your turn when it comes around. But you need to essentially spend your slow action stripping down to your skivvies because you're that hot. But we'll resolve that when we get to you. Mr. Geralt, what would you like to do?
Mr. Geralt will just, tranquilizer dart in the hand because he heard some sort of monster, and he will head in the direction after Scooter.
Okay. And same thing, you'll follow him fast and slow to kind of close the distance, and the 2 of you are there in the opening to the cave back to the terminal, and you see this large creature. And again, it's like the size of a pretty moderate average size bear. It's not the most enormous thing in the world. Michelle, it is smaller than that jellyfish creature though. It is like half the size of the jellyfish creature, which was again enormous. Okay, so Jack and Scooter, both of you are there. It comes to Michelle. Michelle, you are burning from the inside out. You believe you are burning from the inside out. And you got to spend, and you're going to start ripping off your parka.
Yeah, parka and fatigues and yep.
Increase your stress by 1. Scooter, Jack, start increasing your stress by 1 as you see her literally start just peeling away the parka. Now it's warm in here, but it ain't that warm. And Michelle, you still have a fast action.
Can she relocate? Yeah, so run is a fast action, so she would like to kind of book it back towards where everybody else had been.
Absolutely. That's not a problem at all. I accidentally skipped over the creature who actually gets 2 turns in a round. So I'm going to do that second turn right now. So Michelle, you got away. Looking for you. Its second attack, or its second action.
She like just grabs all of her stuff up in her arms and is just running.
Okay. It starts to, with its gigantic swole arms, you can see it waddles in the direction, kind of like it's trying to chase after Michelle. But you can see it doesn't move quite as fast as she does. But it does get to Scooter and Jack, who are right there in the middle of that kind of cave entrance. As it gets to you, you can see it just pushes itself up, almost like it's showing you its chest. And then as it does, it just dead falls right on top of the 2 of you. So it's going to attempt to smother the 2 of you.
No.
Yeah. So it lifts itself up, and you can see it's quite tall, and it just smashes down its whole torso and its face right on top of you. Okay. So I am successful. Do you guys have armor?
I've got one.
Go ahead and roll
myself,
it.
I
Mr.
have a
Girl.
parka.
This is Scooter and Geralt, because I don't think Scooter is gone
okay.
yet. Yeah, you're last to go. Sorry, buddy. Okay. Geralt, 1 point of damage. Scooter, 1 point of damage as both of you are essentially smothered beneath this. You're knocked prone, and as it literally just falls on top of you, it dead falls on top of you, and essentially is trying to smother you into the earth. As both of you take a point of damage, you're prone, and that's its turn. Skeeter, it comes to you. You hear craziness. You also see Michelle running. She's not quite all the way to you yet, but she's like running, and you can see that her parka's gone. She's like stripping some of her clothes off here and there as she's running, maybe screaming about being on fire. What do you want to do, Skeeter?
I guess my brother's over there. I got to run towards the damn problem. I don't know if that takes up both actions to get over there, or if I maybe got something I can do once I get that way.
What kind of weapons do you have at your disposal?
I don't want to use weapons.
Okay, so I'll say if you use fast action, you can kind of catch up with Michelle. You can look down the second half of this tunnel, and you can see right at the end of the tunnel is where Scooter and Jack are currently being smothered by a giant, like, toad that is just trying to just grind them down into the earth. So, what would you like to do with your slow action?
Man, shit, what I wouldn't give for some vinegar or some citrus, but because I do have the husbandry edge. I'm actually good at trying to deal with wildlife, and so he'll kind of meander that way and kind of do the way sometimes, like with a bear, you try and do yourself out. He tries to get his suit to try and extend as much as he can, and maybe take some of his rope and kind of like create an aura of looking bigger than he is. And just trying to do this big, stupid, guttural noise, but like stretching his arms out and kind of doing a big old tsunami motion and trying to like make it skedaddle away.
Okay. Do you have is there a roll that you do for that?
Husbandry lets you use survival to try and make animals follow simple instructions, such as maybe get.
Okay. Okay. I don't know how to assess the difficulty of this, but I'll say roll it, but -2, as this thing is really big and it's already smothered 2 things that it can make as its prey. So,
all right, I'm gonna give myself that -2, but I just, I took the edge. I have to use it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you can see as it's kind of literally grinding and trying to smother Scooter. Now, Scooter, you didn't take any damage. You said you rolled your resilience trait. You're still kind of knocked prone underneath it, but you didn't take any damage. You're still squished. But you do hear the sounds of your brother yelling "get" at this thing, and with each like smush down, your head comes back up briefly. You can see Skeeter trying to scare this thing away. But it is your turn, Scooter. You do have all of your actions, but you are prone. And trying to get out from under this is like would require a mobility test to get out from underneath it, essentially.
Can I? Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that because like
You can do something else too. Yeah.
Well, and I was trying to think like I could just start punching it, but like I'm probably squished, so it'd be really kind of hard to punch like that. Yeah, I want to just try.
Can't really get much momentum on the punch from where you're at.
Do you have any weapons or anything like a knife or something or anything like that?
I got a blowtorch.
I mean, you can use it technically. I mean, like there's nothing to say you can't use it if you don't want to use it. If you want to use it.
Nah, I want to try and get out.
Okay, so mobility test to scramble out from under it and to like kind of get your footing back. It's not going to move you a significant distance, but it'll get you out of prone and get you out from underneath it.
Yeah.
I mean, the GM was encouraging you to fight this big scary monster. I don't see anything wrong that could go for
I always want you guys to fight these monsters. Are you kidding? Like I've been making monsters left and right. These are so much fun. I mean, animals. They're just animals. It's just an ecosystem.
Animals.
Okay. You take like there's a pause. There's a momentary pause in the action of the thing as it kind of rears back, confused perhaps by Skeeter telling it to get and showing its chest. Like, is it trying to mate with me? Like, you're not really sure exactly what's happening.
Yes.
And you try to take that moment to scramble out, but then it just falls on top of you. And so you are still...
Okay.
You still have a slow action. That was your fast action. You could try it again. Yeah, it was fast action to get out. Yeah. This would be your whole turn, though, if you do a slow action.
Yeah. Not being squished is a worthwhile...
Yeah, absolutely. You're just panicking so hard underneath here. Actually, no, you're keeping it together, but you're unable to get out. You're unable to get out, unfortunately. Okay. All right. Its turn. I'm going to say, because of Skeeter's tactic, it's going to kind of push itself up once more. And you can see its head kind of cocks to the side a bit. Its tongues kind of lull out for a moment. And you can tell it's assessing the situation. So it's not going to actually do anything on its turn, on this turn. As like Skeeter's like little distraction thing has definitely kind of gotten it to consider whether or not it should do. You're not sure if it's going to do that, but it's certainly giving you a moment at the very least. Geralt, it comes to you.
Geralt is going to try and do the same thing. He's going to try and get out of there.
Absolutely. Mobility to get out from underneath. Okay. That's one success. Gets you out. You scramble out. Get to your feet. You're still like engaged with it, but you are on your feet and you're out from under it and you're no longer prone. And now you have a slow action. What would you like to do?
He's gonna get away and like get behind Skeeter.
Okay, that does require a mobility test to get away without taking a hit.
He's not really thinking about it.
Okay, yeah, I'm just letting you know. So give me the mobility test. If you succeed, you're good. You're good. You scramble out. It's still kind of like trying to assess just what the hell Skeeter's doing, and it's taking advantage of that. And like you take advantage of that momentary, and you run behind Skeeter. And so now Michelle, Skeeter, Jack, you're all kind of like midway through the tunnel. Scooter's still trapped underneath this big thing. Okay. I'll just gonna keep the same order that's on the screen because this thing should go now as I screwed it up on the first round. So I'm going to. I think I'm going to give it a full round of kind of being unwilling to do like super aggressive things. But I think what I will have it do at the very least is do the same thing it did when it first appeared. So it's going to open its mouth and it's this huge maw. And you can see there are all these like digested, half digested, or not even digested kills that are just sitting in these pustule sacs on the insides of its mouth. And you can see like its tongues are kind of vibrating a bit, and this like cacophony of like death croaks come out, like this low, horrific baritone as it comes out, but then all of these like higher strained pitches of these different creatures that are slowly being digested on the side. And I need all of you, every single person needs to increase their stress by +1 and then have to make an immediate panic roll as you see this happening.
I'm going to take an audience to drop it by 1 before I make that roll.
Okay. It seems like it's got its kill though. It's got Scooter. You guys can probably leave and then just eat Scooter. Scooter plays Dr. Morgan, and then we have major antagonism between Chuck and my turn.
Amazing.
But no, that's not how it's going to go. It's not after he gets a moment to calm down. It's going to be like, hey man, you all right? And like, I'm going to be the new king of the space frogs.
Okay, space frogs. I like how everything is just space, whatever it might be. Okay.
Here's Space Toad.
Michelle, it is your turn. This thing is just, again, it's still just sort of over top of Scooter. It's kept him kind of pinned. It hasn't tried to eat him or do anything else yet. However, before you go, I need you to make a wits test. It's just pure wits. As you are horrifically on fire from the inside out. And then as you run past Skeeter, you get hit with this burst of like coolness that just overtakes you as you realize you are not as hot as you think you are. As that sudden burst of heat starts to fade away, you can see the lacerations where the toad's tongues cut into you. There's like this crust where the saliva has started to dry around you, and in doing so, you drop the component samples that you were carrying, and they shatter on the ground. So the things that you had with the worms and that you had with the shrimp falls and scatters onto the ground. So that is your panic condition, and your stress level also goes up by 1.
Okay. And I had previously rolled a panic and I had tremble again. So Okay. So now it's my turn. So she's just sort of running out and was just like she didn't know what it did to her, that she was just hot, and she's running with all of her clothes in her arms. And so now that she sort of gets kind of closer to where everybody else is, she's just going to be like, I don't know what it did. I don't know what it did. And she's just going to like grab the shotgun from like over her shoulder and she's going to shoot at it.
You're going to shoot at it? Okay. Scooter
The best
is
of choices.
Yeah, Scooter is right there. So we'll go ahead. I can't remember what the rules are for shooting in melee. I should know that, shouldn't I? But let me remember, see if I can find it really fast. If not, we'll move on.
And I already have a -2 because of the first. So I don't know if it clears because I had to do another stress roll. So I don't know if it clears the thing that I had before.
Don't forget that you could do +2 to aim as a fast action first to get or you do aiming as your fast action, you get a +2.
That would help because then that'll just make it a straight roll. Okay, so then that's going to be range combat.
Is it like if you... I think I'm just making up rules in my head right now. Like if you get a face hugger on the stress die when you fire, does that mean you hit your ally in engaged ranged? I'm totally making that up, right? That's not real, right?
Okay.
I don't recall ever having that come up before, but
I do think maybe a -1 on the attack just to be a little bit more careful.
The thing is, if you're too close, you start taking penalties.
Yeah, because there's the modifications. I know that.
Yeah.
So just give me a -1.
And just to clarify, like once you have a panic condition and then you rolled and you get a different panic condition, you don't have the previous one, right? Like it doesn't just keep stacking. Like you just
take the higher.
And so because I dropped something. So so I think it's just a straight roll because I think there was a plus for aiming, but then a minus for everything else. So
roll the attack at -1 because you are trying not to hit Scooter, I assume.
So that's 3 successes. And
okay.
Facehugger, and I drop something else.
Okay, you drop the shotgun in your hand. As that's the only other thing in your hand, so you can have to drop that too. What's your base damage on the shotgun?
I don't actually know because the shotgun is on Krisha's sheet.
Yeah, I got it.
I think it might be 3, but like you double armor value or something like that.
It's 3 damage, but you double armor. That's exactly correct. Okay, so
oh no, I feel bad because my Jay's going to get back and she's not going to have her shotgun because I stole it and then dropped it.
All right, I'm going to roll its armor. It does block 2 of the damage, so it will take. So the base damage is 3. You have 1 extra success that it will not be able to block. So it's still going to do the 3 points of damage, basically. So you still do 3 damage.
Right.
It's just you're not going to get the bonus extra points that you would have gotten from your extra successes. All right, so you do 3 points of damage to it. The good news is it doesn't have acid splash, but it does leak blood and fluids on top of Scooter. It doesn't burn you, thankfully, though. But it is 3 points of damage. Okay.
And she's just losing her mind. She's just like running around, dropping things, shooting at it. Like she's stressed. Okay. I have 6 stress, just in case anyone's wondering. Level of stress. And I even spent 1 to drop 1, and I'm still at 6.
Okay. And you're panicking like crazy. Skeeter, you are trying to scare this thing away. You definitely seem to have gotten it to stop attacking, but then you hear a shotgun blast go off, and you see a big chunk of it explode, and blood from this creature fly on top of your brother, who is still trapped beneath it. You don't know how this might affect, whether it's going to help or hurt. What would you like to do at this point, Skeeter?
Oh, Jesus. Well, I'm not comfortable picking up that shotgun and shooting in that direction because, Scooter is a great many things, but I don't want him being dead to be one of them, and I don't trust myself not to shoot him. So instead, I'm going to do the second dumbest thing I could think of, which is to go grab all them samples of random things that Michelle dropped.
throwing them.
Start throwing because it probably wants to eat. So he's tossing food, and he's going to try and use his husbandry talent again, tossing food to give it a different direction, maybe go and eat easier prey. It's been shot. Clearly, we are dangerous prey. Here's an easy path. Eat this instead.
Okay. All right. So
I don't know. It just feels like the fun thing to do.
Roll your test again. Roll your survival test again, actually.
-2?
Yeah, it's just the same thing. Do the same roll, see, and then we'll add it to your successes. It's like a little mini skill challenge for you. This is so stupid.
It is so stupid. Another one.
Stupid, I love it. I mean, you've got another success. I feel like I kind of have to give it to you. Two things happened. First of all, it just got shot and took a bunch of damage, so it's hurt. And secondly, you're throwing food past it. You watch as it kind of leans up a little bit more, and it sends a tongue flying. It catches one of the things mid-flight and snatches it back into its mouth, but the rest of it falls and flies over top of its head. And you can see it looks back, interested at what you've just thrown. They're very small, though, compared to what Scooter is, but nonetheless, it does seem interested. Scooter, it is your turn, though, and you're still trapped underneath this thing. What do you want to do? You're covered in blood.
This is gross. Like, being all slicked up with that blood, does it give any bonus to my mobility test to get out from underneath this?
Because you're slippery and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, take a +1. I see where you're going. You're lubricated. You're all greased up. You're like Jason Statham, that movie where he like got all the oil
the transporter.
Oh yeah.
God, that's both the dumbest and my favorite thing. Oh,
yeah.
God.
Okay. It's a squish out, maybe.
You do manage to scramble out and kind of push out, and you stand up with your fast action, and you're no longer prone. You're still engaged with it, but you start to tremble as you are right next to its mouth now. It is still dripping blood from where Michelle shot it. What do you want to do with your slow action?
I won't punch this thing.
Okay, go ahead and punch it.
God.
Oh
God.
All right. So it's 2 damage and 3
God.
face huggers, and I got to drop something.
Oh, God.
All right, Scooter. What do you have on you?
I got 5 things on me: cutting torch, maintenance jack, flashlight, my parka.
Parka doesn't make any sense. Roll
a
and you also have hard liquor. Is that right?
I got a bottle of hard liquor.
Give me a D4.
All right.
Let me know which one you get.
While you were stuck under there, you just like pulled it out to take a swig.
You drop your cutting torch. Your cutting torch falls out. You kind of lose it in the blood and such.
Yeah.
And the gook, and it just kind of slips and falls out on the ground. All right. But you did how much damage?
2.
Okay. I'm gonna roll its armor. I block one of it, but you do get some damage through. And yeah, you guys have hurt it. It looks hurt. It genuinely looks hurt. So, all right, you're standing right there. Skeeter has been very successful. Okay, I'm gonna roll its attack thing twice and take the better one for you guys. And to see, like, it's not necessarily an attack. It's called an attack roll, but it doesn't have to necessarily be an attack. All right. Okay. I rolled. Okay. Okay. So what it's going to do is you can see as it flips and turns around from Scooter, and it looks like it's about to run away, but instead it just starts like stomping around in a circle, and you can see, Skeeter, that it's like kind of smashing down on the various chunks of shrimp and worms that you've thrown on the ground. But you also see that large kind of single thin leg slash like leg is like getting Scooter at the same time. I need Scooter to roll first to increase your stress by 1. Actually, all of you, you're all close enough. All of you increase your stress by +1.
All right.
And then I need Scooter to roll a mobility test.
All right. And since I'm shaking, I got a -2 on this.
Oh, gosh.
Let's see if it included it, because that should have been...
You got it.
It did. It included it.
Okay. Yeah. So you succeeded, though, but like the tail comes sweeping past. You just at the last second manage to lean back as it sweeps back in front of you. You stumble back a few steps and you just freeze because as you see the tail smash into the side of the cave, you just see a chunk of the cave just completely obliterated, and that could have been your head. And then it starts to sort of waddle back a few steps, and you can see it's kind of turned its back on you all, and it's kind of quickly trying to scoop up some of the stuff on the ground that Skeeter had thrown. Mr. Gerald, is your turn. Everyone's free, but hard to say.
Yeah. So Mr. Geralt is going to see that Scooter has frozen there, and he's going to just go grab him and pull him back.
Okay. Since you're grabbing him, since it turned its back to you guys, and you're just pulling him away, we'll say fast action to move, slow action to pull him back, and the two of you have now moved, and you're essentially at short range. No one's engaged with the creature anymore. And I'm going to say no mobility roll to get out as the creature did turn. So we'll say that's your turn. It's its turn again.
Oh, and also, since this is a new scene, I'm going to use a audience point to reduce stress by 1.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Then I think what it's going to do, since you guys have started to back away, it's scooping up and it's bleeding and dripping. You guys have actually damaged it. You're going to see it begins to kind of lift up, and it starts to scramble away into the next cavern. You hear the sounds of a splash, as if it might have crawled into one of those pools. And maybe you can still kind of see it a little bit, but it does seem to be scrambling away at this point. Does anyone want to follow?
No.
Okay.
No.
If no one wants to follow, then we'll drop out of initiative, as this thing does seem to have scrambled away, blood dripping on the ground. It's still alive. And some of you are coated in things, and Michelle, you're missing your clothes. But you did survive. Any immediate things.
We might want to follow it. We did damage it already. I would like to at least get my clothes back on, and then maybe we can go after it.
Why are we going after it?
Well, I mean, we can drag that back. I mean, we're supposed to bring samples of stuff, and that would be a big sample of stuff. I had one thing, and then I had 3 more things, and then he threw them. Mm-hmm. Not that was a bad plan. It was a good plan, but those were samples that we were going to have, and now we don't have. So I think we should chase after it once we get together. And I'm really glad I don't feel as hot. That was really. She has 7 stress. She's a little
samples are real good, and they're real important. You know what's more important? You getting back alive, because you look like shit, and I mean that respectfully.
Oh,
I've got drugs. 1 health left and 7 stress, so I feel awful at the moment. Absolutely awful. And whatever the thing it did, and it hit the thing, Michelle. And then I was really, 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 really hot. Michelle. Really hot. What?
Grab your gear. Let's get out of here. Get your dignity. Take a look at yourself, and then take a look at Scooter.
Hey.
Yes,
what's wrong with my dignity? What? You're a prude. You're a prude.
Oh.
And she grabs up all of her clothes and walks back behind something. Like, apparently, I need to go put my clothes back on over there. Mm-hmm.
He says, very much so. I would like to leave this room.
Okay.
I'll take a nap on that bunk up there.
Okay. So we'll say you guys retreat from that cave and from that tunnel back to the room. Did I see
the shotgun get dropped? I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can pick that up. I would say that shotgun's fine. Give me a observation test to see the gut-covered cutting torch, though.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would say you were right next to her when it fell, so I don't see any reason why you wouldn't have seen it. Okay, 2 successes. Yeah, you see it underneath this fish guts and blood and nasty. You pick it up, and it's just dripping with all of the nasty gooiness that came out of this creature.
Whoa.
Okay. So we'll say You guys retreat from there. You go back into the room with the monitoring station. Maybe Scooter goes up to the next room, but we'll go ahead and end on that, having you guys scared away this creature. You can still explore the monitoring, that little initial room. You can explore the bunk later, but we'll end on that. We'll call it for the night. We'll pick up again in a couple weeks. All right?
All right.
Oh, right.
All right.
Ooh.
Right on. Okay. See, you guys are going to live forever.
So
That's great.
stressed. So stressed.
Okay.
So Michelle wants revenge.
I
Michelle
love that
would
talent
like
so much.
revenge.
It's
So worth
just a creature that wants to eat you. Okay.
Right.
So let's eat everything. It's very hungry. So yeah, let's go ahead and do some closing plugs and we'll get on out of here. So we're gonna start with Chuck. Chuck, what's going with you? Okay, man.
On Wednesday, we're doing Night Below Dungeon Crawl Classics. We're in the final book. On Fridays, we're doing my Pathfinder 2nd Edition campaign. That's it. We got stuff on YouTube. I'm supposed to have more of our offline Pathfinder sessions up there, but I keep forgetting to edit those. So they exist, just not much.
All right. And then Adam. Sorry, I was typing. Adam, what's going on with Cannon Otter?
We are still in the process of developmental editing and English editing, proofreading. And so I was able to make a little bit of progress from Mother's Day, but not too much. And so, when we get done with that, we'll move on to layout. So just keep an eye here or on our Discord. Come join us, and you'll get updates there. So,
Fantastic.
Teenage Odyssey. It's going to come out here soon.
Awesome. Links to everyone's stuff. Check the show notes, description, stuff like that. You can find it there. As for us, next game is tomorrow night. We have some Frontier Scum. Steven hops back into the GM seat. Thursday, you can see a few of us here playing some Simbaroom. Friday should be a Warhammer 40k Wrath and Glory night, and then we've got Saturday with Call of Cthulhu as we are back to Mexico City, and next Monday we got more Fragged Empire, and in a couple weeks we'll be back to Alien. Thanks everyone out tonight. Thank you again to Norse Foundry for sponsoring that giveaway or offering that giveaway. And hop onto Discord. We're going to have more of these in the future. We're going to go ahead and raid somebody. In the meantime, we're going to go over to Blackwater D&D. So follow that raid. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you all later in the week. Bye-bye.
Bye.